episode 291, Vegetarian Vitamins. Hello and welcome to another podcast, another episode. Hope you're all doing really well out there during this great pandemic. Hope you're all staying safe. Hope you're following the advice and all the rest of it. And my understanding is the kids are back in school this week, next week or so. Certainly in the UK and Ireland, not quite sure what it's going to be like for them. There seems to be some varying opinions on whether it's a good idea or a bad idea and all the rest of it. There seems to be very few children who've caught COVID and been seriously ill. I'm sure there have been some, but not too many, so I'm sort of hopeful they'll be fine. Obviously, there's the fear that they're going to give it to everybody else, but I don't know. I mean, it could be flu. There's lots of things out there. I think the thing about COVID is it seems to be quite infectious, and in certainly a small percentage of cases, it's a very serious illness, but so the flu can be as well, and touch wood, I'm very lucky. I think I've only ever had one serious bout of illness. I probably might have had flu as a child, but the ones I can remember, I was in my 20s, and I don't know what happened. I was feeling a bit tired, I think, one day, and my lower back was absolutely freezing. It's quite a strange symptom, really. I don't think I felt too ill at that stage. But for some reason, the lower part of my back was like ice cold, And that was the first symptom of this whatever it was, And I think it was a type of flu that I had. And then the next day, it hit me. Trying to get out of bed was hard. I had work to go to, and I got up, and made all the effort, and I remember sitting downstairs in the front room on a settee there, and like, Jesus Christ, I felt ill. I felt so rough. I mean, I wasn't like vomiting or anything like that, but I was just felt so very sick. Now, one of the reasons I was making a big effort to go into work was because I had a training course to do. There was, I don't know, maybe half a dozen people coming from, I think it was Dudley actually. It was near Birmingham anyway. They were coming up to Huddersfield for training, and I was the trainer. I was the lead trainer. I was the man, And I knew, no one else was prepped to do it really. There was probably half a dozen people who could do it between them, who'd all, written different parts of the software, been involved with the hardware, But I was the sort of person that would gel it all together. And I really tried to get into work. I really did. And I got in the car, and I was living in Leeds at the time, and a place called Colton. I don't know if there's anybody listening from Leeds, but I managed to get as far as Crossgates, and which is only like, I don't know, 5 miles, less than that even. And I had to turn around and go home again. I was just so sick. And I went straight home and straight to bed, and told my manager that I couldn't make it in, And so they did training without me. I did, I don't know how, I was really ill for 2 or 3 days. I couldn't get out of bed. It was very serious, and I remember it was one of the symptoms when I was in the bed. I remember opening my eyes, and when I looked at stuff, it was like looking through a shutter on a camera. So like it was every few frames was blank. It's a very strange thing. But I obviously had a fever and everything else, and was a bit delirious. But it was a little bit, I was going to say it's a little bit scary when you get these sorts of symptoms. But I was actually so ill. Actually, it's funny. When you're so ill, you sort of some of the fear goes out of it. It sounds crazy, but I was so ill. I just and for about 3 days, I could hardly get out of the bed, really, And then on the 4th day, I think it was towards the end of the week, I managed to drag myself into work, and I still wasn't right. There was a set of stairs in where I worked, and just climbing up the stairs was hard, But anyhow, I climbed the stairs okay, but people were telling me how dreadful I looked. And I got talking to one of the guys in the office, and a short while later, about my symptoms and my illness, I'd had about 3 or 4 days off. I never did the training. Other people did the training, which set us back about 2 years. It was a disaster. Their training was absolutely rubbish, which I sort of knew it would be, but I was just too sick to get in. But I was talking to somebody in the company, and somebody else that had exactly the same symptoms as me. And they were so ill, they was almost going to be admitted to hospital. And they was off work for 2 weeks. I just dragged myself in, which I don't recommend. I mean, if you're sick, you get better quicker if you rest, and you don't try and kill yourself. So anyway, I had a little brush with sickness there recently. And I have been trying to make sure I eat healthily. There's lots of vitamins and things that we need. There's your 5 a day, your fruits, veg, whatever. We all know this, And it can be hard, I think, sometimes to get that into your diet. So whenever I've been ill or, I'm feeling that way about me, I start taking some supplements, some vitamins, and I think it's a good idea. It doesn't replace eating healthily. Let's get that out of the way to begin with. But I think vitamins do have a part to play, and I think they can help you a lot. There's things like vitamin C, which is very good for you, but doesn't last very long in the body, So that's one of the reasons you have to eat a lot of fruit, There's a wide range of other vitamins. My particular favourite is vitamin K. It's good for the liver, is vitamin K. Now, hold on a second, nothing to do with drink. But, I mean, everything goes through your liver, doesn't it, really? So you want a healthy liver, don't you? So I've always thought vitamin K was a good one. And there's a wide range, and they tell you how different vitamins help you in different ways, which is great, and they always say, listen, this doesn't replace, healthy food, which it doesn't. But you know what, sometimes you need a bit of a boost. You need a little bit of a, especially when you've been ill. I think you can feel very run down after it, and it can give you that little bit of that you need, a little bit of a push, a little bit of pep in your step, And I think iron's very good if you're feeling very run down as well. So anyhow, I was looking for a multivitamin, and there's literally thousands of them on the market now. There wasn't a specific vitamin I was interested in, but like I said, there's a few that I sort of like to, make sure I've got. I mean, vitamin C is the no-brainer in some ways. The various vitamin Bs are quite nice to have. Iron's good to have, and like I said, I like vitamin K. And I think that's been pushed to the fore very recently is vitamin D. It's one of those things, there's been a few studies around COVID, and they've noticed that people who have a deficiency in vitamin D or who are not getting enough sunlight, so basically the way it works normally is if you get, I think it's 10 minutes of sunlight a day is what you need. And your body converts that, and I think it's converted in the liver to vitamin D, which is good for your immune system, basically. It's other things as well, I think joints and muscles, but primarily I think it's for your immune system. Now, obviously with COVID, this is a big deal. A good, strong, stout immune system is what you need. So apparently, we've seen an awful lot of people catching COVID in care homes, old people's homes. And, generally speaking, I know in Ireland, definitely, old people who spend a lot of time in a care home, they're not getting enough sunlight, and they are deficient in vitamin D. And also, I understand there's certain, I'm not quite sure if it's what you'd call it, but certain nationalities, maybe, people from certain parts of the world can also suffer a little bit with vitamin D deficiencies as well. So there's like a genetic sort of angle to it, So so I was thinking, well, I could do with a multivitamin. No, I don't want a tablet, I don't want a small tablet, but any big tablets, I can swallow tablets, I'm a big boy now. But they're just a faff, it's just the effort. And in the morning, sometimes I might not eat in the morning, and they might make you feel a little bit sick as well. So I was looking for something I could dissolve, multivitamin for dissolving. And I found a couple of ones that seem to be very good. There's a company called Beeline that make them, and I'd had a multivitamin from them, and it was pretty much all the ones you can imagine, all the big ones, And I've been having those for a while, but I found them very hard to find in Ireland. I think I got them in Dunnes stores, but I hadn't been to Dunnes for a long time. And I'd looked at Lidl and their own vitamins, and there were a lot of tablets, and the fizzy soluble ones that go into a drink were primarily vitamin C, but I wanted a range. So anyhow, to cut a long story pretty short, Tesco's, because I've been at home a lot, Tesco's do a delivery. Tesco's is a massive supermarket chain, by the way. I think they're in the UK and Ireland. They used to be across Europe, different parts of Europe, and I think they used to be in America. But I think there's been some changes done, there's some, shall I say, rationalisation of the company. They had a little bit of a scandal a few years ago. I think they'd understated something over a period of time, and it was like £250 million had been, I don't know. They said they hadn't, I don't know. They wrote it off against something like that anyway. And it was a big scandal. So they had to do a lot of chopping and changing and stuff like that. But anyhow, there was a beeline effervescent, it's called, the ones they're soluble in water, multivitamin. And I thought, oh, this looks interesting. It was a vegetarian one. And to be honest, I'm not too bothered. I mean, the way I approach being a vegetarian or a vegan is, if the food tastes nice and there's no meat in it, I'll eat it, I've had people laugh at me for saying that, but I mean, you want me to suffer and just not to eat meat, And the other thing I would say as well is, vegetarianism isn't about making food all taste like meat. There seems to be an obsession that if it wants to be tasting nice, it's got to taste like meat, which I don't believe is the case. But anyhow, so I came across these vegetarian effervescent multivitamins from Beeline on Tesco's. So I ordered some, 20, they come in weird number, 20, and they're not cheap now. These are €8 for 20. I think that's about, I don't know what that is in all, but £6, $10. I mean, they're not a cheap product. And it's only 20 days, not even 3 weeks, because you have one a day. But they say they've got 25 key nutrients, and I've been taking them there now. Now, I'd like to say they're having some impact. I'm not exactly Popeye after having his spinach, but I do believe they do have some impact, because there is good evidence that you do absorb these vitamins that way. So anyhow, I've been taking these. Yeah, these are quite nice. Yeah, all going good, And then somebody said to me, well, what about the vitamin D? Is there vitamin D in those? And I thought, well, I assume there is. It's multivitamins, isn't it? So I looked on the back here, and I'm just looking now. Now, if you saw me, I've got these varifocal glasses, and I'm having to find the right distance where it's not blurred, because the writing is tiny. But I looked down the list, and I couldn't, straight off the bat, I couldn't see vitamin D. I did eventually find it. It's vitamin D3, okay? And it's 10 micrograms, and that's 200% of your daily allowance. Now, I know it's vitamin D3, right? Okay, vitamin D3. But is that the same as vitamin D? That's what I wanted to know, So obviously, what did I do? I Googled it, and I got the answer. So basically, when you buy vitamins, and they might say vitamin D, but it's either vitamin D3 or vitamin D2, right? And I was intrigued to know the difference. Now, bearing in mind, these are vegetarian vitamins. So, vitamin D2, which are not in these vitamins, is I'm going to try and pronounce this, is ergocalciferol, and comes from plant-based sources. So I was a little taken aback that my vegetarian multivitamins have D3 and not D2, and I'm thinking, well, what's the difference here? So vitamin D3 is cholecalciferol and comes from animal-based sources. I went, hold on a second. These are meant to be vegetarian. It does mention there might be lactose in them. This says nothing about vitamin D3 coming from animal-based sources. And I'm starting to get a bit worried here. Now, I'll be honest, like I say, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not a vegetarian, but if I was. So basically, the vitamin D3, it's actually the one you really want to have, vitamin D3, by the way, even if it is from animal-based sources. It's the closest type of vitamin D to what you would get produced by the liver when your body makes from sunlight, The only thing is, vitamin D3 are made from the fat of lamb's wool. So, I'm not quite sure that counts as vegetarian, And I was so blown away. This is a big gaff here, isn't it? Like for me, like I say, it doesn't matter. I'll keep taking these. These are great, And I'm getting my vitamin D now, 200%, which is great. But for somebody who is vegetarian, this is a big problem. So I'm going to write a very sternly worded email to Tesco's and also to Beeline. I'm sure Tesco's have got these in good faith, that when Beeline said he was vegetarian, they believed them,